Coming up on today's WrestleTalk news, Zelina Vega returns to WWE, more NXT names backstage for potential call-up soon, a review of last night's SmackDown, and more. Subscribe here for daily wrestling news and to bask in my glory as Jam That Champion.
Support WrestleTalk!
Late last year in November 2020, problems began to arise in WWE with a new edict they sent out to all of their contracted talent. They were to cease operations with third-party platforms such as Twitch and Cameo. This resulted in several WWE stars closing down their pages. However, one person that didn't was Zelina Vega, who instead was released from WWE as she continued to focus on her large Twitch following. Fast forward to this year, and reports came out that Vega had been spotted in the WWE Performance Center, leading to speculation about a WWE return. But with Andrade, who she used to manage, now gone from WWE, what would she do upon her return? Maybe she could work alongside her real-life husband, Aleister Black? Ah, no. He's been released too, on very short notice. I'm sure that went down well in that household. But regardless of all of that, on last night's episode of SmackDown, Vega returned as a heel, being announced to be part of the Women's Money in the Bank match before getting into a war of words with Liv Morgan, having a match with her, and then losing in 2 minutes. Welcome back, Vega. Vega took to Twitter following her return to say, "What to take from tonight? I'm back. I'm going to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match, and I will win. Period. Everything else is irrelevant." Sure you will. Sure they won't punish you for not shutting down your Twitch. WWE are well known for not holding grudges and not being petty, right? Right, guys? It's become routine in the last few weeks for NXT talent to be backstage at Raw and SmackDown, and this week was no different. However, there were some new names reportedly working dark matches prior to last night's SmackDown. PW Insider has reported that 3 dark matches took place last night. The first saw Toni Storm wrestle Shotzi Blackheart, significant as while Blackheart has been used at recent WWE shows, Storm has not. The second match saw lesser-known performer Odyssey Jones take on Robert Roode. Jones has wrestled a handful of NXT house show matches under his real name Omari Palmer, and is a large man. WWE likes that sort of thing. Karrion Kross also wrestled another dark match last night facing Cesaro. Now that's a match I actually want to see on the main roster, mainly because it's got Cesaro in it, and I love Cesaro. Before we get on with the rest of the news, a quick word about this video's sponsor, War Planet Online.
Before we get on with the rest of the episode, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to this video's sponsor, War Planet Online, which you can install using our links below now. War Planet Online is the most exciting MMO real-time strategy game for your phone out there. In fact, it's even too exciting for the main roster, because otherwise it would have been renamed already to Viking Raiders Planet Online. With the entire world at war, you become the general of your own army, where you build your custom base, stockpile troops, tanks and helicopters, which aren't thumbtacks and steel chairs, but I guess they'll do, and then march your forces across the enormous real-world map to conquer all those in your path. I like to stockpile loads of resources and units like I'm WWE in 2019, and then unleash them in one giant rampage while pretending I'm Vince McMahon coming for Tony Khan. And what's really cool is that your actions will affect the world and other players, who you can then team up with to create factions with. And then, of course, turn heel on them too! You shouldn't have trusted me, Tony! And the more enemies you defeat, the more rewards and resources you get, meaning the more you can strengthen your forces. So download War Planet Online for free now using our links in the video description below to see if you can stop my path of destruction. Please do at least click the link to check them out, as it really helps support us and it's a great game too. Support WrestleTalk, support War Planet Online.
These dark matches seem to be part of a new NXT recruitment and call-up drive WWE is taking part in recently, part of which involved Vince McMahon himself visiting the Performance Center to scout for talent. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful reported that some wrestlers were concerned they could lose their jobs over McMahon's visit though. We've heard from several at the WWE Performance Center, however, many of whom were extremely nervous about Vince McMahon's arrival there this week. Given the cuts, several wrestlers were fearful they'd be on the chopping block if their first impression was a bad one on McMahon. The report went on to say that most talent at the Performance Center barely saw McMahon during his visit, and that some said they made themselves nervous for no reason. Fightful also reported that it was mostly business as usual at the Performance Center, with some talent having no idea anything was happening. Not all NXT and Performance Center talent was required to be at the PC Thursday, so some didn't have any idea of what was going on. Several of those that were there said they were really relieved when they realized they were just training as usual. And now it's time for a review of last night's episode of SmackDown in about 5 minutes. This show began how last week's ended, with Edge. He came out and cut an intense promo about how WrestleMania should have been the culmination of a 10-year story, but he won't complain about losing. But what he does know is that he can beat Roman, and shows an image of the crossface he had on at Mania to prove it. He then quotes Thanos, saying he is inevitable. Sure, turned out well for Thanos, so good choice of person to quote there. Jimmy Uso backstage then finds Paul Heyman, but there's no Roman. Jimmy says it doesn't matter, once Roman's here, they're gonna beat up Edge and they'll plant their flag as a family. After this came Baron Corbin and Apollo Crews versus Big E and Shinsuke Nakamura. Rick Boogs actually announced him as Shinsuke Nakamura. There's so much pain in this world. Pat McAfee is the only good thing about this Nakamura and Boogs act, and I will say, if all of this is actually leading to a Baron Corbin face turn, they're doing a pretty decent job of that bit at least, because I do genuinely feel bad for him. And in the match, Corbin was in control of Big E when Rick Boogs gets on the mic to tell him his car's being towed away. Corbin is distracted, big ending, and he loses. He's just a sad man. Though with a new trademark filing from WWE for Happy Corbin, I'm sure this babyface turn will go really well. Bayley and Bianca Belair have a face-to-face segment next where Bayley was actually kinda serious, and their feud wasn't about laughing. Isn't that a nice change of pace? Bianca said she's over Bayley, and the only way this will end is if she embarrasses her, and she challenges her to an I Quit match at Money in the Bank. Bayley retorts that she's never quit from anything in her life, and if Bianca could make her say I quit, she'd probably quit SmackDown. No, she'd quit WWE. No, she'd quit competing altogether, which was an odd line if it's not gonna lead to anything. I thought this was good though, and though I am completely over the Bianca-Bayley feud, this is the kind of feud it should have been from the off, instead of Bayley's face being on the Thunderdome. God, that was wasn't it? Jimmy Uso backstage is still waiting for Roman to show up before convincing himself he needs to be main event Jimmy Uso and take out Edge, even without Roman. After this came a last man standing Money in the Bank qualifier between Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, which somehow wasn't the main event. These two beat the out of each other. And my only criticism of this match was that I wasn't a huge fan of how easily Owens got up from some spots, such as him being put through 2 tables from the turnbuckle to the outside, or getting up at 7 from a haluva kick, or getting up at 9 from 3 haluva kicks. But regardless, the end was incredibly fun, with Owens just deciding to murder Sami, hitting him with a pop-up powerbomb, a stunner, a powerbomb through the announce desk, a powerbomb through a table, and then a powerbomb on the corner of the apron, all one right after the other. Ow! Owens qualifies for Money in the Bank. Edge backstage says he knows Jimmy Uso is setting a trap for him and he doesn't care. Rick Boogs backstage is a complete knobhead to Corbin, making a bunch of unfunny king puns towards him. Corbin just politely says, "Screw you, man," and walks off. I want to cheer this man. Thank you for being awesome pledgehammers on Patreon, the Mayor of Painesville, Dan, and Ryan Disco Stewart. You can get your own shout out by visiting us at patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Sonya Deville then announced Zelina Vega's return to the company, and after Liv Morgan interrupted to say Vega doesn't deserve a spot in the match because she hasn't even competed on SmackDown this year, I wonder why that is. There was a very quick match between them where the referee spotted Vega using the tights, so then Morgan rolled Vega up and used the tights, and the referee missed it. Great return for Vega, super worth it. Seth Rollins then cut a great promo backstage, annoyed at Pierce and Deville because they gave the Universal title match at Money in the Bank to Edge instead of him. But don't worry, Seth, you can qualify for Money in the Bank. All you have to do is beat Cesaro next week. Seth versus Cesaro. Again. Alright, it's fine. We also got confirmation that next week in a Money in the Bank qualifier, it's Nakamura versus Corbin! I'm fine. It's totally fine, guys. It's just the same match we've seen for 17 years! I'm fine. Promise, I'm fine. Otis took on Dawkins next and killed him in about 2 minutes. They're treating Otis like a massive deal, but seriously, lay off on the close-ups, will ya? Jimmy Uso once again speaks to Heyman, saying he's going to be main event Jimmy Uso and take care of Edge. He didn't! Spoilers. Edge, after being called out, asks what happened to Jimmy? What happened to Nobody's Bitch? That's a good question, Edge. What did happen to Nobody's Bitch? Was the hand raise after Roman versus Ray the end of Jimmy questioning the family? Jimmy fully on board now? Okay. Edge then beats up Jimmy while Jimmy was looking around waiting for Roman to come and help him, applying the same crossface he did at WrestleMania with the bit of the chair in Jimmy's mouth. How unsanitary. And that was the show. No Roman on this show whatsoever. Let me know what you thought in the comments below, and by voting on our poll on a poll match on our community tab, where 72% of you voted for Zelina Vega's back. This show was another episode of SmackDown, that much is for sure. Vega had a really anticlimactic return. I'm liking the Edge return so far, he's doing some good work. Bayley and Bianca are making the most of their never-ending feud. Owens and Zayn was a lot of fun. Everything else was alright. So I guess this show gets a 3 out of 5? Smack bang in the middle? Sure.
Hello everyone, and a fine waboo-doo to you all. I'm Adam, hailing from parts unknown, and this is how Adam would book this month. I'm looking at Embrace the Hate, a concept that everyone in their 30s must at some point come to terms with. I'm for it, by the way. You're all dog-ass, but hey, thanks for subscribing.